Thor versus Moby Dick. If you come for the movie, I say to thee, you've been disappointed! Big kids, here's your big review of In the Heart of the Sea. Thank you to Warner Home Video for sending me out this review. This movie is directed by Ron Howard, who's done many amazing movies from Apollo 13, and damn, he's made so many amazing movies, and in Happy Days, you gotta love Ron Howard. And of course, this stars Chris Hemsworth, Cillian Murphy, and Tom Holland. So right there, this movie has Thor, Scarecrow, and Spider-Man. Pretty awesome, but yeah, you pretty much see all three characters getting super skinny and looking very sick. Yeah, but anyway, this movie is about the true story that inspired Moby Dick. This actually has Herman Melville interviewing what is Tom Holland's character, but older, about his accounts of being on the 1820s voyage of the ship Essex that was trying to, their whaling ship back in the day, like whales. And then for a person that loves animals, it's a little hard to watch, whales getting gutted, and so if you're not into that, then you won't love this movie from there. But yeah, it's about how back in the 1800s they would hunt for whales, use for oil for lamps for both the US and England. So yeah, it was a big industry, and I know they still kind of do that now, which it's not as needed as much, but yeah, it's still hard to watch, even though this is fake whales and whatnot, CGI whales, and I'll get to that in a moment. So yeah, this movie stars Chris Hemsworth. Now Chris Hemsworth plays Owen Chase. He is a man that wants to be captain of his own ship. He wants to be a merchant captain one day, but he ends up being first mate to a guy named George Pollard, and they're on a voyage to go whaling to get a bunch of whale oil and stuff like that. And them and their crew are on this voyage, and they come across this giant sperm whale who will eventually become inspired to be Moby Dick in Herman Melville's story. And basically, they get attacked by the whale. The ship is pretty much, ship unsalvageable. They have to abandon their ship, and it's pretty much becomes a survival story. It goes from seem like it's gonna be the Moby Dick story to Castaway, pretty much. And yeah, you pretty much see these men starve. You see these men have to resort to cannibalism in a very PG-13 way, mind you. And yeah, and you just see them get all super skinny and chapped lips, and yeah, it's a little hard to watch at times. Not as bad as saying like Christian Bale in The Machinist, but still, yeah, it's like ooh, it shows them having to survive, and yeah. And yeah, basically the movie, if you're going in it looking at it as the Moby Dick story, it's definitely not as entertaining. It's very much a survival story. It is not as entertaining as Moby Dick, and obviously Herman Melville, even in the movie, says that it will be inspired by your story, but it will be a work of fiction. And that's why Moby Dick was more of a compelling story, a man's thirst to hunt this whale and his vendetta against the whale, whereas this one, the whale is more of a plot device. In fact, the whale isn't really a bad guy at all in this movie. Yeah, I mean, considering what these guys are doing, all these guys had to really come into them. I mean, they're hunting whales, and the whale is just fighting back, and there's even a scene where the whale doesn't fight back at all, and Owen Chase's character totally just doesn't fight back the whale at all. He kind of respects them, so it's cool, Thor respects the whale. But and I have to say, the whales themselves look good, but even though the special effects can look good at times, it looks very CG, out in the ocean. They definitely did a lot of blue screen, and I understand with movies like this, you don't want to, get your actors in danger and stuff. But yeah, it looks so green screen, blue screen at times. It's yeah, it looks pretty bad, and really, at least to me. There's other movies like Pirates of the Caribbean where I actually believe they're out there, and they were dealing with actual skeleton pirates and whatnot, where that's a fantasy. This is supposed to be real life, and it doesn't look that real to me. But yeah, there's some exciting moments with the whale attacking, but yeah, it's mostly just a survival film, and it's trying to do so much, trying to be survival film, an action film, a drama, you know, historical film. So yeah, it doesn't do everything right, and like I said, it's not really Ron Howard's best. Chris Hemsworth's accent can go in and out. I love you, Chris Hemsworth, I met you, but yeah, your accent really went in and out. But yeah, it does an okay job. It's entertaining at times, but it's not the best Ron Howard film. Yeah, the cinematography looks pretty good. Like I said, besides the really easy to spot, you know, green screen at times, it's pretty good cinematography for the most part. And then, you know, the sound's really good. It looks pretty good on Blu-ray, especially on my 4K TV. You get the DVD, the special features on this. You get quite a bit actually. The special features actually make it a pretty good deal. You get a Ron Howard's Captain Log. It's a bunch of different couple-minute clips, just pretty much compiled together, of like shooting locations, about filming, editing, and just little Ron Howard's thing that he, like, when he was posting on Twitter, and you know, all this stuff, you know, while making the film. But it's so short, it's not really in depth with each segment, but you know, it's still cool to have. Then we got like about almost 8 minutes featurette, Chase and Pollard, Man of Men's and Man of Courage. It talks about you know, Owen Chase and George Pollard, like their relationship, and about Chris Hemsworth and the actor that played him. His name was Benjamin Walker. Yeah, so it talks about them playing the characters. By the way, Caitlin Stark's in there, and she plays Mrs. Nicholson, which is great. And Tom Holland, who plays the young Thomas Nicholson, he did such a great job, and I can't wait to see him as Spider-Man. And the next one, it's about a 9-minute featurette, The Hard Life of a Whaler. And that's something I totally agreed with this featurette. It really shows you how hard a life that these whalers have. These guys, wow, they really risk their life, just only like a 20 men or so, you know, trying to get oil, and you know, and what they had to deal with. It was definitely a hard life. You wouldn't see them for months or years at a time. So yeah, it really talks about that. So then there's a 9-minute feature, Wells Tells Melvin's Untold Story. It talks about, you know, Herman Melville's road to writing Moby Dick, and talks about you know, the whole thing about what inspired making this movie, that the real story behind Moby Dick. So but that was cool. Then there's Commanding the Heart of the Sea. It's a 10-minute featurette. Talk about the practical and digital effects, and that's where you really see it's like, yeah, maybe you should win a little bit more practical. Like I said, I understand with movies like this, you want to be safety, especially with films in the sea, but yeah, it's very, you definitely see the digital more. Then there's Lightning Strikes Twice, the real-life sequel to Moby Dick. It's actually a 30-minute documentary about the second voyage to find the whale, and about not only the finding the sinking of the Essex, but you know, George Pollard's, like, you know, trip. So it's a pretty cool documentary on that. That's actually a really cool special feature. Then there's about 36 minutes of deleted scenes. Shows a little bit more in depth with some characters like Owen Chase and George Pollard and Thomas Nicholson. So yeah, pretty cool. And then there's some 7 minutes of extended scenes, and then a 3-minute island montage with recap of moments that happened with the crew that were on the island when they filmed. So pretty good special features. That pretty much makes up for the film. If you really like, you know, Herman Melville, if you really like Moby Dick, if you really are a big fan of the sea and Ron Howard, I say you'll enjoy this movie. But if I would say probably, you know, Moby Dick is a more entertaining tale, and there is entertaining moments, but with that said, I'd probably give In the Heart of the Sea a 3 out of 5. So it's not terrible, it's just okay. So yeah, I want to thank Warner Home Video for sending me out this review. You can buy this on Amazon if you want to see it. Link is in the description. And for more, check out my website at SeanNixLong.com. Like me on Facebook, follow me Twitter, Instagram, links in the description. If you want to support my channel, go to patreon.com/SeanNixLong. I'm Sean Long, may live long and live life. Say to thee, we really need to make a Thor versus Moby Dick movie. That would be a whale of a tale!
Tell me, do you bleed?
I don't bleed. I made of vibranium. But I can't hold this because I'm worthy. Can you?
Of course I can, because I'm...